We have two interesting pine trees here. Of the three that live on Mount Diablo, the two are famous for being drought trees and having the heaviest pine cones of any pine tree. The darker green, the robust-looking one with the pine cones that look like loaves of French bread is the Coulter pine. And it was first collected by an Irishman named Thomas Coulter. And the gray pine, the more wispy-looking one with pine cones that look like pineapples, that was first collected by David Douglas, the Scotsman. So we got both the Irishman and the Scotsman represented here. Both did their collecting in California in the early 1830s, and both were famous, or probably notorious. The way they would collect their cones was to shoot them off the tops of trees. It was always look out below. Especially for poor David Douglas's dog, Billy, who probably had to go and fetch.
Now turn left on Donner Canyon Road, heading up the steep slope. Enjoy the large manzanitas. They bloom in the rainy season, a phenomenon known as Chaparral spring. Most of them are big berry manzanitas with pale or gray-green leaves on a little stem called a petiole. They have berries that can be half an inch wide, the largest of any manzanitas. Big berry manzanitas are part of the mountain's chaparral habitat. If you look out in the distance and see some hills with a nice green blanket covering them but not a lot of trees, you're probably looking at chaparral.
They are 3% of the habitat that covers the Earth's landmass, but they hold 20% of the biodiversity.
Chaparral is well adapted to our Mediterranean climate.
Mediterranean means very little rainfall and only really 2 seasons, a long dry season and then a really short wet season. What evolves are shrubs that don't require a lot of water and shrubs that are adapted to a dry environment. So they have evergreen waxy leaves. And why evergreen? It's because it takes energy to grow a leaf. If you grow a leaf, hold on to it. So some of our chaparral plants will hold on to their leaves for 7 years. Chaparral shrubs often hold their leaves up because they're trying to deflect sunlight. The other thing about chaparral plants is often in a mature stand of chaparral shrubs, you'll see this beautiful green canopy, but there's nothing growing underneath. They're not going to grow a branch full of leaves where the sun won't hit.
We'll get a good look underneath chaparral at Stop 8, at the start of the middle trail. Before you get there, though, you might want to take a short side trip to see a couple of puzzling coast redwoods. They're puzzling because the tallest tree in the world doesn't belong here. It's too dry in the inner Coast Range, and the soils aren't right. But somehow, these trees have managed to survive anyway. Probably, Ken says, due to moisture from the creek and soils enriched by sediments from above. There are a few other sequoias in the park, but they're all at homestead sites. So who planted these and why is a mystery. To see the redwoods, take a left when you reach the junction with Cardinet Oaks Road and walk about a quarter mile down to the creek. When you return to the same junction, you'll turn onto Meridian Ridge Road. In 1/10 of a mile, you'll see the sign for Middle Trail on your left. In early spring, that trail is a great place to look for wildflowers that thrive on the edge of chaparral.